Everybody, it's Mr. Clark again, and we are doing our quick review number 7, which is our last discussion about states. Today, we're going to talk about capacity and autonomy. Let's get to it. So, like I said, today our discussion is about capacity and autonomy. As a reminder, this is all under the umbrella of the state. The state is the entity that acts with primal authority over its territory and people. Passing and enforcing laws, defining and protecting rights, and resolving disputes between people, organizations, as well as generating domestic security. When a state has capacity or a high capacity, it has the ability, it means that it's the ability of the state to wield power in order to carry out the basic tasks of providing security, reconciling freedom, and equality. One example of a high capacity state would be one that was able to create policies and ensure stability and security for its citizens. Uh, the type of things that are required to have a high capacity are that it requires organization, legitimacy, and effective leadership. A state that would have high capacity would have roads paved, schools built, regulations followed, as well as be able to enforce the law. A lower capacity state would be one that was unable to create policies and have a destabilized society where it wasn't able to protect their citizens. The next idea is autonomy. Autonomy is the ability of the state to wield its power independently of public or international actors. It is the informal practical ability to act on that independence. So with autonomy, you're talking more about the ability to um, act without being influenced by people that would control the government. So it would mean there's not very much corruption where the government is beholden to some other entity above that of its formal duty to serve the people. A high degree of autonomy acts on behalf means that a state acts on behalf of the public, pursuing what it believes are the best interests of the country, regardless of public opinion. So even in the face of public opinion, a high autonomous state would be able to do what it thought is best, almost like an entrusted delegate as opposed to an instructed delegate. So finally, when we look at a chart from your O'Neill book about high autonomy, low autonomy, high capacity, low capacity, a high capacity, high autonomy country would be a state that is able to fulfill basic tasks with a minimum of public intervention. The power would be highly centralized and it would be a strong state. So not very democratic per se to be both high capacity and high autonomy. A high capacity, low autonomy state is able to fulfill basic tasks, but the public plays a direct role in determining the policy and is able to limit the state power and scope of the activity, like you would through a social contract. The dangers of a high capacity, high autonomous are that the too high a level of capacity and autonomy may prevent or undermine democracy. And the dangers of a high capacity, low autonomy state would be that states may be unable to develop new policies or respond to new challenges owing to the power of organized opposition because they would be too beholden to um, some other entities, usually specifically the people. Now, high autonomous, low capacity state is one that is able to function with a minimum of public interference or direct control, but its capacity to fulfill basic tasks is very limited. The danger here is that the state is ineffectual, limiting development, and slow development may provoke public unrest. So you might not be very autonomous for very long. And then a low capacity, low autonomy state lacks the ability to fulfill basic tasks, and the power highly decentralized among states and non-state actors. So it's a very weak state. As we talked about strong states and weak states last time, this would be a weak state, maybe even bordering on a failed state. The danger here is too low a level of capacity and autonomy may lead to an internal state failure or even collapse. So that's it. You have autonomy and capacity, and the intersections of those create different variations of state in order to help define how a state functions. And that's it for today.